If you could travel
back to the
10,000
land
years,
of today's
have
China,
a dinner, there is a high probability that the things on the table will make you a little confused.
Water.
For prehistoric humans,
Water is not just for drinking.
It basically decides where you live. So the first giant colonies
almost
in China
all
rely on rivers, small rice from lakes or rivers.
But they're not stupid enough to live by the
Too
river.
Close. A single flood can wash away an entire village. A little bit higher. It is convenient to fetch water. An underwater room. Later, when some communities began to settle,
they also learned to dig wells.
This is actually a very important signal. To this stage, humans have not just passively adapted to transform the environment. Certainly, humans have never been very patient with plain water. Very early on, people started to soak all kinds of plants in the water. Something that doesn't look much like poison anyway. The taste is stronger than drinking forested areas every day. Will make a hole directly, then drink the leaves that come out of it. It's basically a prehistoric version of the beverage. I have to mention one that everyone comes very late. About Shannon taste baked. The stories of tea leaves falling into the pot. It is a later legend. The version is also quite confusing. But here's the thing. The country is originally one of the natural distribution places, soaking all kinds. Then one day, someone threw wild tea leaves in and tried. It's not surprising. In addition to plants, another very old drink, milk. In particular, it's in societies that have something to do with grazing animals, products. It is a very important source of early naughty things unearthed in northwest spoon culture. Containers are very similar. Now comes the most interesting thing. The earliest wine in prehistoric China, likely not made of grain at all. Back fruits or berries, no matter how long it takes. Fermentation is basically inevitable. Always find out this stuff tastes different. Smells changed too. After drinking it, it feels very different. Congratulations. You just accidentally invented wine recipe. Even in the description of someone before this glass of wine has plum, very long. People in prehistoric China all kinds of weird fermented drinks. And then agriculture spread next to these drinks. Soon there will be something more important. Food has been used for most of human history. We were fed by two things. Hunting. Agriculture came very late, but once it appeared, he began to slowly rewrite his daily life. In China, an interesting situation arose very early on. Different food worlds. The protagonist in the north is Xiaomi. This might not sound very interesting, but at that time it was tailor-made for the northern climate. Drought and cold were not so particular about the Yellow River Basin, where the weather is often unstable. Xiaomi is very easy to go further south. The situation is completely different. To the Yangtze River Basin, the real protagonist becomes rice likes to give. The more you do, the harder you open up. Provide just that environment. Valley marsh. Waterlogged plains. So this area, it became the earliest rice in the planting centers. Certainly. And these were not the only foods on our prehistoric tables. Have been around for a long time. Many in northern agriculture. With some areas with high altitude also began to eat early barley. Why are these foods important? And it's very simple. They can't finish all the prey they hit in the countryside. It will break soon. Wild vegetables won't last long. But food is different. As long as it can be preserved for several months. What does that mean? Means a failed hunt. A cold winter, even a bad harvest, it doesn't immediately put the entire community into an existential crisis. When people come to rely on stored foods are gradually changing. Villages become more fixed. The population started growing. Agriculture is gradually shifting away from supplemental food. Don't eat staple food. People still add all kinds of things to vegetables, wild plants, and of course, humans have been eating meat for a long time before agriculture. Long before the emergence of survival villages depended on two things: Hunting
Prehistoric
China was no exception. In the beginning, hunters mostly started with small animals. When you have the most advanced weapons in your hands, are obviously more realistic. But there's always progress. Sooner or later, someone starts aiming for bigger goals. Ruins in Jiuqudian, archaeologists have discovered many animal deer, mustangs, goat, bear. There's even elephants. It means that at some point, someone is actually holding up a wooden feather. I thought, and looking at an elephant. It doesn't seem to be completely certain if the whole village is waiting for dinner. Human courage usually increases significantly. But big game is never stable. Sometimes you can bring back a deer. You can only bring back one deer that was wonderful story. Just because hunting is so prehistoric diets have always been about meat. Then agriculture spread is gradually becoming the daily staple food. Eating meat. It's just that the diet is more balanced. One of the most important animals to join the village rather than chasing wild boars. It is better to keep the pigs in the new era. There are lots of pig bones in ruins all over China. And here's what's interesting. The way pigs were killed at that time. Today we think about knives and slaughterhouses. Prehistoric practices were much simpler. They don't usually cut their throats. Instead, the pig was directly beaten to death. And then you throw the whole pig on the fire. And you after shaving off the burnt hair, started to officially open the table. Appeared very early in prehistoric China, responsible for tracking prey. However, in some communities, dogs later also entered the recipe. Archaeologists have even found evidence and found that dogs were sometimes used for sacrifice. Chickens and eggs are also gradually entering the diet. Many early traditions were originally used for divination or sacrifice. But prehistoric humans weren't really picky. As long as you can move and catch. Someone always tries to eat snakes in the southern region. Snake meat is very common. Later, some ancient authors also Southerners treat snakes as a delicacy. Snakes usually think, let's forget it today. Biodonts are also a common food. Can be caught with traps. You can also shoot down, chop small to make arrows. In some places, they even dry the bamboo rats. And then there are many insects, silkworm chrysalis, and it's nutritious. Wild beehives not only have larvae honey, in the hive are also cicada, chrysalis, beetle, cricket. Fried pythons could all be on the menu. Even snake eggs are sometimes eaten. So basically, the prehistoric diet, as long as there is protein, not poison, mostly food. But land animals are only half the story. If you look at the location of the early settlements, villages are almost always located along rivers or near the coast. Water, of course, means drinking water. But there is a more important reason. There is a steady stream of food in the water. Shellfish and various aquatic animals. More than game in the forest is easier to miss. Fish bones are found in many early cooking utensils. Fish is not it's a fairly common dinner. In the South, rivers and swamps, they would gather shrimp sticks and an incredible amount of snails. In some places, there are huge piles of basically a prehistoric version of a mountain of seafood generation. Fishing is also well developed in the northern river regions. People pile fish in shallow pits, cover it with branches. Let the fish eat slowly in the cold season. Of course, prehistoric humans didn't live. Plants are everywhere, and people have been gathering vegetables. It's hard to preserve it intact. So many specific types are difficult to determine. But one thing is certain, edible plants at that time. In the forests and grasslands of green wild garlic, wild potatoes, wild vegetables like orocan. The list of plants collected like is willow greens, mountain celery day lily, sprouted wild spinach, amaranth, pear vegetables, and many other wild herbs. There's also mushrooms and mushrooms, fungus, common mushroom. There's even Hericium arenacus. If you know these things, take a walk in the forest. Basically, there are ingredients everywhere. The menu will change slightly. People pick bamboo shoots, wild garlic mushrooms, fungus, and all kinds of wild bamboo shoots are especially important. Bamboo shoots
water
put them in
seal,
bamboo
and let it
tubes.
ferment naturally for
And
a
what
few
we
days.
ended up with were sour bamboo shoots.
Before there were any recipe posts,
Prehistoric humans were already making
rhizomes
fermented
are
foods.
also an important source of
Different
food.
types of taro are
Some
widely
can be
used.
steamed or boiled.
Some can
directly.
irritate the throat or stomach if
So
you
have to take
raw.
it seriously before you
Over
can eat
time, some vegetables are beginning to be actively planted by humans.
Have found early
Plant evidence related to mustard
gourds are
radishes,
also very
gourd
common,
seeds can
and the
be
mature
eaten.
hard shell can also be used
In some prehistoric
traces
ruins,
of melons and beans were
this
also
shows
found.
scope
That
of plant cultivation is gradually
fruits are
expanding.
also an important source of
Originally,
food.
of course, it was wild
Peach
gathered
citrus,
bananas of the
wild
south,
pear, mountain
cherries,
grape,
and various forest berries.
nuts are particularly
because
important.
they're easy to preserve.
Hazelnut, walnut,
Pine nuts,
dates,
and other dried
it's found
fruits
in many prehistoric sites.
So that's it.
Prehistoric humans actually
What they're
had
really
no
missing
shortage
is
of
flavor.
ingredients at all.
The most important seasoning, without a doubt, is
by
salt,
the sea,
and it probably happened pretty straightforwardly.
after the seawater evaporates, white
and the
crystals
taste is
are
very
left on the
salty.
ground.
Someone must have tasted it
And
at
I
some
realized
point.
something.
This stuff makes all food taste. The
A little
next
better.
method is actually
Collect
very
seawater
simple.
and heat it up.
Let the water evaporate
The
slowly.
last thing that's left
But
is
inland
salt.
people have no sea, so they started looking elsewhere. There are salt springs, and some places have salt lakes or a natural brine pool. In some regions,
People even put
water
salt.
is poured over the hot
Let the salt
charcoal
crystallize
No matter
faster.
how the method
The
changes,
result
is the same.
Salt
soon became the core of
No
flavor.
salt.
Most foods seem a bit boring. After adding
The
salt,
whole
meal suddenly became
the
a sweetness
thing.
mainly comes from one thing. Hives are
Honeybees.
very precious.
People
climb trees or cliffs to retrieve
Some
the
of
hive.
these
giant hives can take
even
out up to
50
20
kilograms of
The
honey.
hive was cut open, squeeze out the honey, and sometimes it is boiled into the sour taste also appears. Many groups will use naturally sour wild
fruits.
plums to add flavor. Others
food.
rely on fermentation, bamboo shoots, beans, and vegetables, and can be fermented into something a little bit spicy. Not chili. Chili peppers arrived in China
The spiciness
very late,
of
mainly from
prehistoric
wild
times.
onions and garlic, leeks, and other tasty plants. These plants grow naturally. They bring them many
back
places, like wild vegetables, and finally fat. Hunters take care to preserve the fat
Because
on their
fat
prey. Makes food taste
It
better.
also
Provides a lot
Later,
of energy.
some pastoral
also
groups
learned to process milk into butter.
People
and
also
ghee. Extract oil from wild
The
plants.
solution
and
is
seeds.
very
Harvest
simple.
the fruit and dry it first.
Remove the shell.
Grind the people inside
and
into
steam
these
powder.
powders. Then put it in a cloth bags between the slates. Or put it in a wooden trough. Press it down with a big rock or
As
wooden
pressure
lever.
increases,
The oil will slowly
with
flow
very
out. Simple tools. Human. In fact, it has been squeezed and
Oiled.
eaten thousands
Of
of having
years ago.
ingredients is one thing. Whether it will be done or not is another
Chinese
matter.
prehistoric
It didn't
cooking.
start with pots and
The
stoves. earliest stage is to eat more raw. In the very early days, many things are eaten directly. Rhizome, leaf, fruit, shellfish, sometimes even meat. That's not ideal. Raw food is not easy to digest and often accompanied by various uncomfortable So when humans learned to control fire, has really taken a big turn. As soon as fire, the first true cooking method, it's very intuitive. The first barbecues were very simple. Put food directly on the fire by the fire. A stick on the fire. Rhizomes can be thrown directly into
Small
the fish
animals
stems
can be
of the
roasted
fire.
whole.
Meat can be cut into strips and turned
Fish
slowly
can also
over the
be
flame,
warmed
baked
on
in the
wooden
same
sticks.
way. The problem is that open flames can burn food very
So people
easily. Slowly discovered if you put food on a hot stone, it will be easier to control the heat. Late burning. You heat a stone slab in a fire. Put the food on the stone. The heat is still strong, but it doesn't burn very easily. Slate yaki can be used.
You can also bake cereal.
And then even very simple pancakes were made. Then they came up with another clever change. Wrap the food before baking. Sometimes people mud the meat, then throw it into the fire. After the mud is hardened, we'll seal the heat inside. When you finally crack open the meat inside is already cooked. Burn. Sometimes they wrap food in leaves and bacon. Fish can be wrapped in very large banana leaves, then directly into the fire. Same principle. The package outside blocks so that the food will not be burned after the barbecue. Humanity has taken another interesting step without a pot. Now it's stone's turn again, but this time it's not for baking. It boils water. The solution is simple. First burn the stone in the fire, then throw the stone into the wooden basin filled with water so the food can be cooked. This is the so-called stone cooking before durable pottery. It's very commonplace. Meat, vegetables, even soup can do this. Certainly. The effect can't be as accurate as a modern sauce. Most of the time, it's 7 or 8. Let's break it. Some people might actually like the texture. But prehistoric cooks apparently didn't stop here. In some places, they also cook with the stomachs of animals. Pretty straightforward. Water and chopped meat. Put it in a clean stomach. Then throw your whole stomach on the fire. As long as the heat is the water inside will start boiling first, not immediately burn through. A bit wild, but it does work. There is also a very practical method in the staple food. Put the rice. Put water, meat, or other ingredients into a section by the fire. Bamboo traps moisture. Food doesn't burn and easily. It will also bring a little fragrance. The whole device is lightweight and very simple, suitable for the lifestyle of breakthrough came in pottery. Once people made fire-resistant pottery, cooking becomes much easier. It's much more common. Food can be heated directly, and various ingredients can be cooked especially together. Important after the development grains of like millet and rice. Boiling in water is far more convenient than roasting directly over the fire. Prehistoric humans probably ate porridge regularly. Is actually quite brittle. Sticks to the bottom of the pan. It's easy to burn the container, so put more water. Make thinner grains. Make safer practices. And finally, then there's another way of cooking that became very important. Throwing food people started putting food over boiling water with steam. With the advent of perforated steam, grain can be steamed more evenly. It is especially suitable for dry food. And it doesn't burn easily. Thanks for watching the next few videos. We're going to keep going backwards. Look at Chinese history. What do people really eat?